Well, France 24's Philip Turle is taking a closer look at all of this for me, and he joins us now on the set. Philip, first of all, fill us in on the main demands of these protesters.
Well, first of all, two names that you need to remember here, Jeannie. The first one is Archipelago. That is the name of this Facebook group, which is bringing together 35,000 dissidents within Cuba who are all together trying to force the communist government to make democratic change. Today's march is called the Civic March for Change. That is the title it's being given. And the second name to remember is that of Yunia Garcia Aguilera, who is a 39-year-old playwright who has become the figurehead of that movement. So what they're basically calling for is for the Cuban government to become more democratic, the Cuban government to open up to democratic change, to being more open towards a civil society, for example. And this has all been exacerbated in recent times by four different things. First of all, US sanctions, which were introduced by Donald Trump back in 2017 and which remain in force under Joe Biden. We're talking about 200 extra sanctions being imposed on the Cuban government. Second point is a surge in the use of social media. This is something that has brought these groups together, these different dissidents within Cuba who in the old days would never have met before social media and the internet was permitted. That has now changed radically and moved much more in their favor. Third point is there is a much younger generation in Cuba which is hungry for change. It doesn't really have any connection to the 1959 revolution of Fidel Castro. They're looking towards the United States, they're looking towards Europe. They want more changes in their country, which they say have been far too long coming. And of course, the fourth point, which is probably the most important, is the impact that coronavirus has had on the country and on the economy. And this has led to widespread hardship and particularly to rationing of food and to large queues in the shops for people wanting things to eat. So all of these have come together to exacerbate a problem that was already there and which caused protests earlier this year. 600 people are still being detained, 600 dissidents, but that has not stopped this group of Archipelago saying they're going to call for a new day of protest today. Why today? Because today was the day the country was due to open up after 20 months of lockdown due to the coronavirus.
So, Philip, if this protest does go ahead in one way or another, is it likely to have any impact at all on Cuba's government?
Well, if you look at what experts on Cuba have been saying, they say no. But this is chipping away very slowly at the leadership of Cuba. Now, I was just talking about the coronavirus. If you look at the figures of what's been going on in that country, you have, for example, a big fall in the number of people being allowed to go into the country. 94% of the number of tourists going into the country has fallen since the coronavirus. 70% of the food is brought into the country from overseas, but there has been an 11% shrink in the economy in Cuba. So all of those have been caused by the coronavirus pandemic. So coupled with that, which has already weakened the standing of the communist regime there, you have the fighting back by these dissidents who are now linking themselves together through social media. So these two forces together are posing a problem for the leadership in Cuba. And what we're seeing here is when a leadership like the communist regime is under attack, it becomes even more vociferous against any dissent in the country. So that's why many are saying today they really don't want to go out and protest because they're a bit scared of doing that.
Philip, thanks for that. France 24's Philip Turle.